watching the Fox 5 Morning News at 8.
Christmas season means extra treats, extra goodies, but there can also be hidden hazards. Dr. Richard Chaffoo is here from Scripps with some ways to navigate through the holiday dangers. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning, Raoul.
This is important because we tend to, well, the holidays are here, you dismiss all your health and your concerns and everything else. Yes. You got to stay focused. So the worries around Christmas trees and ornaments, and what do we need to know about this stuff?
Raoul, the big thing we always think about is the tree falling down and hurting somebody, but a bigger issue really are the ornaments. You know, the glass ornaments that are very bright, they're near the bottom of a tree. Oftentimes a child will pick that up, put it in their mouth or drop it. It's glass. Or actually the lights as well are another factor. They can actually burn a child if they're relatively warm, or if they can bite them, so they can become a hazard even from the electrical cords.
Those ornaments have those hooks too, and if a little kid gets at that,
exactly.
That could be dangerous. What about the toys?
So the toys, you know, in most families, including my own, we've got kids of different ages, and so toys that are age appropriate are important because they lack the problems with choking hazards from small pieces. But we have to remember the older kids typically will leave their toys all around for the younger kids to pick up and play with, and especially, Raoul, even the packaging. Sometimes it's almost irresistible to a young child. The packaging is brightly colored, and the batteries are taped on the outside, and that's a hazard. It can go on the nose, the ear, they can swallow them and get an esophageal burn.
It's like everything is a concern.
Everything is a concern.
Everything's a concern. Around the fireplace as well, especially if it might be a little bit rainy and cool in San Diego on Christmas morning, so people might turn on the fireplace.
And you're absolutely right. The fires are on longer. You know, we're cooking more. So those areas, you really want to try to block those off. Those are hazards, and they get quite hot. The surfaces, the glass or the metal of a fireplace.
There are other dangers this time of year a lot of people may not think about. Heart attacks most likely happen at this time and on Christmas Eve. Why? There's a study that said, what's happening?
That was a fascinating study that came out of Sweden. They looked in about 250,000 people over a 15-year period, and it was an observational study. And what they found, that you're right, that 40% of the heart attacks that occurred there occurred on Christmas Eve after 10 o'clock at night, which makes you wonder, well, why that was.
Why?
But there were a combination of factors. These were people that were typically elderly people, maybe the grandparents, 75, people that had coexisting heart disease, had diabetes, and then we're thinking, well, perhaps it's the fact that there's a sleep deprivation, people are overeating, they have risk factors, and then there's stress in families, maybe arguments.
If stress or overstimulation could play a role in something like that.
Absolutely. So those are factors. We want to keep that in mind during the holidays to look after our grandparents.
You're also saying people need to be careful when making those New Year's resolutions that we love to make each and every year. And we've talked about this in the past. We're like, just set your boundaries about what your expectations are.
Such a good point, Raoul. You know, it's about moderation and not deprivation. And most of our New Year's resolutions, 2/3, we don't do it after about 2 or 3 weeks. You know, studies have clearly shown that at 6 months, less than 20% of people are even doing those. So we want to make important health decisions regarding how we change our eating habits and exercising, but we don't want to go overboard to get an injury from the wrong type of an exercise, or if we're not keeping a diet plan that's just too strict and severe.
I like to say stuff like, if you're going to do, for example, your diet and fitness resolution for the new year, make it something that's sustainable for you, not something that you're going to do for 2 weeks. You need to address it as a complete lifestyle change, correct?
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
So how do you set that goal? It's like, well, how do you know what your thing is where you don't want to go overboard with, I'm just going to eat kale and grain the whole rest of the year.
Or a lot of these liquid diets that people, well, we're not fish, we have to eat food, so it's not something we're going to do long term. If we make small changes, Raoul, in our diets, long term, it'll make a difference. I tell my patients, you didn't suddenly wake up one day and see, oh, I'm 10 pounds overweight. It's a slow process, so it comes off slowly as well.
Dr. Richard Chaffoo, great advice as always. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Thank you, sir, for being here. We appreciate it. All right, the one and only Mr. Brad Wills is up next. He's sitting right there.
It's that time of the year when the gym is packed with people. And for the people who are there dedicated all the time, you're like, where are all the machines? Well, they're all taken by the people who are going to be there for 2 weeks, so hang in there.
You'll get them back.
You'll get them back, 20% of people in 6 months quit all of the resolutions. Wow. All right, well, good morning. Thank you, guys. Let's talk to Jesse Lozano from Star 94.1. Talk about what's new and now. Jesse.